And welcome to the Knowing Show. I am your host, Christene Marie. We are gathered here today to discuss the cultivation of the human intelligence. We live in a world where most everyone is driven for the optimization and utilization of AI. How can we incorporate it into our business, into our personal lives? How can that be the thing that satiates me internally because I'm lonely or depressed? And so we're seeing more and more people vying for these tools that bring in to fill a gap in our lives. And so what we're really looking at and examining every single morning on the show, and sometimes even in the afternoons. We go live at 6 a.m. Pacific every weekday and 8 a.m. Pacific on the weekends. And every morning we're really leaning into examining how can we effectively stop outsourcing our worth, our identity, our intellect, our emotions, but we know how to go inward and do the work to cultivate who you and I are to the fullest extent that constitutes a human being. And the intelligences that we discuss really have to do with the intellect, the emotions, the soul, which is where our emotions live, the spirit, and the body. You know, we think about going to the gym to cultivate our body, but our body holds so much more than just the ability to be a physical vessel that gets us from one place to another. But really, our body stores data. Our body remembers things we've been through. And so it is in the cultivation, examination of each one of these intelligences that we can really experience a full holistic life. And really on the other side of going inward is the ability to create something truly unique. When you think of the greatest inventors of all time, they weren't looking around at what other people were doing for inspiration. They were actually going into the quiet, into the solitude to have true ingenuity, true invention, to create something that's completely from scratch, so to say. And so that's, for all of those reasons, that's why we get on every single day to have these conversations. And so I'm so grateful you're here. Every morning we read through a lesson in a Course of Miracles, and it's just a daily lesson for 365 days of the year. And so today we are on lesson 153. I'll go ahead and just do a quick review of the preceding lessons, and then we'll dive into today's. Lesson 151, all things are echoes of the voice for God. Lesson 152, the power of decision is my own. And today's lesson 153, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. You who feel threatened by this changing world, its twists of fortune and its bitter jests, its brief relationships and all the gifts it merely lends to take away again, attend this lesson well. The world provides no safety. It is rooted in attack, and all its gifts are seeming safety, are illusory deceptions. It attacks and then attacks again. No peace of mind is possible where danger threatens thus. The world gives rise but to defensiveness, for threat brings anger. Anger makes attack seem reasonable, honestly provoked, and righteous in the name of self-defense. Yet in defensiveness, a double threat. Yet is defensiveness a double threat? For it attests to weakness and sets up a system of defense that cannot work. Now are the weak still further undermined, for there is treachery without, and still a greater treachery within. The mind is now confused, and knows not where to turn to find escape from his imaginings. It is as if a circle held it fast, wherein another circle bound it, and another one in that, until escape no longer can be hoped for nor obtained. Attack, defense, defense, attack become the circles of the hours and the days that bind the mind in heavy bands of steel with iron overclad, and returning to start again. There seems to be no break nor ending in the ever-tightening grasp of the imprisonment upon the mind. Defenses are the costliest of all the prices which the ego would exact. In them lies madness in a form so grim that hope of sanity seems but to be an idle dream beyond the possible. The sense of threat the world encourages is so much deeper and so far beyond the frenzy and intensity of which you can conceive, that you have no idea of all the devastation it has wrought. You are its slave. You know not what you do in fear of it. You do not understand how much you have been made to sacrifice, to feel its iron grip upon your heart. You do not realize what you have done to sabotage the holy peace of God by your defensiveness. For you behold the Son of God as but a victim to attack by fantasies, by dreams, and by illusions which he has made, yet helpless in their presence, needful only of defense by still more fantasies and dreams by which illusions of his safety comfort him. Defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. Perhaps you will recall the text maintains that choice is always made between Christ's strength and your own weakness, seen apart from him. Defenselessness can never be attacked because it recognizes strength so great attack as folly, or a silly game a tired child might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants. Defensiveness is weakness. It proclaims you have denied Christ and come to fear his Father's anger. What can save you now from your delusion of an angry God whose fearful image you believe you see at work in all the evils of the world? What but illusions could defend you now, when it is but illusions that you fight? We would not play such childish games today, for true purpose is to save the world, and we would not exchange foolishness, the endless joy our function offers. We would not let our happiness slip by because a fragment of a senseless dream happened to cross our mind, and we mistook the figures in it for the Son of God, its tiny instant for eternity. We look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense because we are created unassailable, without all thought or wish or dream in which attack has been made any meaning. Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind, and in defenselessness we stand secure, serenely certain of our safety now, sure of salvation, and sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose as our ministry extends its holy blessing through the world. Be still a moment, and in silence think how holy is your purpose, how secure your rest, untouchable within its light. God's ministers have chosen that the truth be with them. Who is holier than they? Who could be sure that his happiness is fully guaranteed? And who could be more mightily protected? What defense could possibly be needed by the ones who are among the chosen of God, by his election and their own as well? It is the function of God's ministers to help their brothers choose as they have done. God has elected all, but few have come to realize his will is but their own. And while you fail to teach what you have learned, salvation waits and darkness holds the world in grim imprisonment. Nor will you learn that light has come to you and your escape has been accomplished. For you will not see the light until you offer it to all your brothers. As they take it from your hands, so you will recognize it as your own. Salvation can be thought of as a game that happy children play. It was designed by one who loves his children and one who would replace their fearful toys with joyous games, which teach them that the game of fear is gone. His game instructs in happiness because there is no loser. Everyone who plays must win, and in his winning is the gain to everyone ensured. The game of fear is gladly laid aside when children come to see the benefits salvation brings. You who have played that you are lost to hope, abandoned by your father, left alone in terror in a fearful world made mad by sin and guilt, be happy now. That game is over. Now a quiet time has come in which we put away the toys of guilt and lock our quaint and childish thoughts of sin forever from the pure, holy minds of God's or of heaven's children and the Son of God. We pause but for a moment today to play our final happy game upon this earth. And then we go to take our rightful place where truth abides and games are meaningless. So is the story ended. Let this day bring the last chapter closer to the world, that everyone may learn the tale he reads of terrifying destiny, defeat of all his hopes, his pitiful defense against a vengeance he cannot escape is but his own deluded fantasy. God's ministers have come to waken him from the dark dreams his story has evoked in his confused, bewildered memory of this distorted take. God's Son can smile at last on learning that it is not true. Today we practice in a form we will maintain for quite a while. We will begin each day by giving our attention to the daily thought as long as possible. 5 minutes now become the least we give to preparation for a day in which salvation is the only goal we have. 10 would be better, 15 better still. And as distraction ceases to arise to turn us from our purpose, we will find that half an hour is too short a time to spend with God, nor will we willingly give less at night in gratitude and joy. Each hour adds to our increasing peace as we remember to be faithful to the will we share with God. At times, perhaps a minute, even less, will be the most that we can offer as the hour strikes. Sometimes we will forget. At other times, the busyness of the world will close on us and we will be unable to withdraw a little while and turn our thoughts to God. Yet when we can, we will observe our trust as ministers of God in hourly remembrance of his mission and his love. And we will quietly sit by and wait on him and listen to his voice and learn what he would have us do the hour that is yet to come, while thanking him for all the gifts he gave us in the hour gone by. In time, with practice, you will never cease to think of him and hear his loving voice guiding your footsteps into quiet ways where you walk in true defenselessness. For you will know that heaven goes with you, nor would you keep your mind away from him a moment, even though your time is spent in offering salvation to the world. Think you he will not make this possible for you who choose to carry out his plan for the salvation of the world and yours? Today, our theme is defenselessness. We clothe ourselves in it as we prepare to meet the day. We rise up strong in Christ and let our weakness disappear as we remember that his strength abides in us. We will remind ourselves that he remains beside us throughout the day and never leaves our weakness unsupported by his strength. We call upon his strength each time we feel the threat of our defenses undermine our certainty of purpose. We will pause a moment as he tells us, I am here. Your practicing will now begin to take the earnestness of love to help you keep your mind from wandering from its intent. Be not afraid nor timid. There can be no doubt that you will reach your final goal. The ministers of God can never fail because the love and strength and peace that shine from them to all their brothers come from him. These are his gifts to you. Defenselessness is all you need to give him in return. You lay aside but what was never real to look on Christ and see his sinlessness. What a powerful, powerful lesson. Y'all, I loved and found it's so meaningful. The lesson that we previously reviewed and read around defensiveness. And there were so many different layers around defensiveness that we dove into over the last couple of weeks around this topic very specifically. Y'all, I was actually talking to my mom about this concept because, man, if we can learn the art of letting go, not taking things personally, still having boundaries. But man, we are not quick to be angry. We are not quick to take someone else's experience and make it our own. We're not quick to take their hate or their anger or their disappointment or depression or frustration directed towards us or even just directed to the world at large. We're not going to take that and make it ours. Instead, we have the certainty of our purpose. We have the certainty of our identity. We know who we are, whose we are, and why we are. And now defenselessness, that's easy. There's nothing to defend because we know we have no reason to make excuses or give defense for who we are, whose we are, and why we are, because we know. And that's actually all that we really, really need. And by example, by proxy of the way that we live, that is our defense, which is so cool. You know, our very lives, what we model. You know, even just this morning, I was reading about how when truth really is held by us, it permeates and overflows into the rest of our lives. We can't ever compartmentalize truth if we really believe it, if we really come to know it. The knowledge of the truth translates into our actions. It's almost like knowledge by manifestation. Like if you actually know it, well, then you're going to live by it. And so there's this biblical concept actually of a story of a man who goes into a field, he's digging and he finds this treasure. And then he goes and sells everything he has to go and get that field to then receive the treasure. So the question is, if we really believe something to be true and our life doesn't reflect it, I think it has to then we have to then question, do I actually hold this to be true? Do I actually believe this? You know, the things that activate us and the things that make us angry are mirrors for our own belief system. The things that really, man, can just really set us off and make us angry are often the things that reveal our values, things that need to be healed from the past, maybe. And the aspect there, when we start getting defensive, we effectively have handed that person power over us. They now have the power to pull the trigger. They now have the power to get us to that point of upset or get us to that point of forgetting who we are, forgetting our identity, forgetting our purpose, and kind of moving us out of the path that we were just on. Man, you know how you can have those days where you wake up and you feel so good and everything's aligned, and then you get that email or you get that phone call or you get that text, and all of a sudden everything goes to hell in a handbasket. That should not be. And y'all, man, I just urge us all to not settle for that being the case. I want to read through a couple notes here from today's lesson, because if we can learn the power of controlling our mind, controlling our own self, controlling our emotions, we have the ability to yield great, great power as a result of that. So I want to read a couple of things. The world gives rise but to defensiveness. For threat brings anger. Anger makes attack seem reasonable, honestly provoked, and righteous in the name of self-defense. Yet is defensiveness a double threat? For it attests to weakness and sets up a system of defense that cannot work. Now are the weak still further undermined, for there is treachery without and still a treachery within. The mind is now confused and knows not where to turn to find escape from its imagining. So effectively, if we're being triggered for something out there, but then we realize that we actually don't have the ability to overlook, we don't have the ability to maintain peace, we don't have the ability to remind ourselves of what's true, well, now it's dangerous out there and dangerous within here. The reaction that is caused within us when we start getting defensive reveals a weakness that we actually need to go tend to, because a value can definitely cause anger or frustration. Hold on, I'm getting my charge cord. But how much more powerful is that value if it is rather a guiding system rather than a triggering? It's almost like an exposed power cord. This is interesting. It's like if you've got your electrical box, and your electrical box is all of your values, all the things that kind of are wired up that orient and run your life. Well, now they're kind of behind the scenes running and guiding your life. But if you've got exposed wires and somebody comes and knocks against it and then things start blowing up, well, yes, it might be a value, but maybe it's not actually rooted and grounded in a place of safety. Because sometimes our values are formed when we actually were unsafe in childhood, when we were unsafe in certain experiences, when we didn't feel loved, when we didn't feel like we belonged, when we didn't feel like we were worthy. And so, yes, this is a value, but I'm actually operating in kind of the shadow side of that value rather than the light. And the way that we kind of think about light and shadow is that shadow is really predicated in fear. So I hold this value. Maybe it looks like in the shadow part, self-preservation versus love, when the light of what that value could look like, which is actually being able to have healthy boundaries so that I can love better. Those are two very, very different powering sources, but they might have very similar manifestations, and the behavior might look very similar, even though the belief has the shadow and the light to it. So the question for us is, when we start getting triggered, is my belief rooted in fear or is it rooted in love? Is that belief uncovering something for me that actually needs to go be healed? Because it is so rare that when we're activated, when we start feeling defensive, there's nothing on our end for us to take responsibility for. I can't really think of any time that you can be triggered and not have something that just needs to be attended to inside of us. That doesn't mean that we bear 100% of the responsibility and that person gets off scot-free by any means. The goal is that on the Knowing Show, one of the main themes and principles here is that we go inward first. We go and there's this concept of like taking the log out of your eye so that you can see clearly to see what's going on. If my lens and the way that I'm viewing the world is blocked and colored by the past, and I actually cannot see the integrity of the present for what it is, I'm never actually going to be able to walk in the freedom of being able to even know the reality of the objective present. Now I'm forever enslaved to the past. And she even uses that word down below. Defenses is the costliest of all the prices which ego would exact. You are its slave. The frenzy that's caused, the fear of just like being so terrified over being exposed, being found out, people not loving us, the pain and the hurt of the past that's keeping us enslavement to it, and then we're never free. It says defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of Christ in you. Perhaps you will recall the text maintains that choice is always made between Christ's strength and your own weakness. So really, anytime we start feeling triggered, we have the opportunity to say, am I going to rest in the identity that is assigned to me by God, or am I going to try to do everything on my own? Am I going to, the definition that she uses surrounding sickness is isolation. It's separateness. So not only am I separating myself from that person, but I'm also separating myself from ultimate eternal strength, which is Christ in you and Christ in me, which is the reflection of God, the ability to see through the lens of God, and the ability to love with his love, even when I'm feeling completely at my wit's end or completely maxed out of my own strength, because what they said was really hurtful, or what happened in the past was entirely devastating. And actually, people in that position shouldn't be as healthy as you are, perhaps. Y'all, there's something to this point, as we're considering, looking in the mirror and taking radical responsibility. This is where compassion is so necessary, because so many people have really been through terrible, terrible things. A friend of mine is married to a man who, at one point, they were having marital issues, and one of his lifelong mentors told my friend, and he was like, most other men in his position would be an addict in a side of the road somewhere. He was like, he is doing remarkably well for what he's been through. So y'all, let us not forget the past as it pertains to looking at the gain. Look at where I came from and look at where I am today. What an incredible, incredible gain that we have, that we can look at the past and see how far we've come. That's part of our story. That's part of our legacy in so many ways, is the past. It's not just ignoring it and just forgetting all that came before us. In fact, that powers gratitude. That powers our ability to say, wow, look at that, and be so proud. I asked my family around the dinner table the other day, I said, what are you all most proud of in your life right now? And it was interesting to see where people kind of stumbled and faltered, and when people were able to be really free and share what they were proud of. But y'all, there is so much reason for us to be grateful. And there's so much reason for us to have pride over where we came from, so long as we are living lives that are rooted in responsibility. And so long as we're willing to look at the truth. Because the truth is looking at, yes, the gap from where I am today to where I want to get to, but it's also looking at the gain. Looking at how far we've come. And in that alone starts to eliminate defensiveness. Examining the truth and remembering our identity, remembering who we are, whose we are, and why we are, because we don't have to do this alone. Even just here on the show, we have each other. This month, we're really looking to build out the knowing community and building out more, I guess you could say, resources to support each other, along with the book coming out. And we're building something here that's intended so that we don't have to do life alone. Life is incredibly hard. And so many of you have come from places that were devastating, and you're doing so well compared from where you came. And that warrants that pride and that gratitude. And in so many ways, us remembering and knowing the gain can be even the thing that staves off defenselessness. You know the truth. They may not. So if our worth and our identity is predicated on other people's opinion of us, and we're looking externally and outsourcing it, well, then we're always going to feel unstable and uncertain. But if we are rooted and grounded in the knowledge of the truth, knowing from where we came, knowing, yes, maybe that's how far I want to go, but look at how far I've come. And then knowing that we don't have to do it alone. Therein lies hope, always. I think about my aunt who just lost her husband and my cousins, and they are such a beautiful example of grieving, but with hope. We can go through the examination of the truth and square off with reality, yet not feel utterly discouraged, even though life is hard, because at the end of the day, what is more true than this physical world that we're experiencing? There is something greater. There's a purpose greater than just waking up and going to work every day. There is a purpose and an intent and a reason why you're here. And so I just want to jump here in the chat. Brian, I'm so glad to see you. The most painful thing is losing yourself in the process of loving someone too much and forgetting that you are special too. Oh, that is so, honestly, it's so incredibly true. I've never heard it said like that. And that's so devastating. Sammy, I'm so glad to see you. Oh, good morning. Hello. Oh, for those of you who don't know Sammy, he is a friend of the Knowing Show. He joined us, at the beginning of the year, and it was the date of his 2-year anniversary of having just a terrible accident. And Sammy, we're so proud of you. We're so proud of you. Keep going, my friend. Keep maintaining endurance. We love you. Exec, I am so glad that you mentioned that. I actually am going to, here's my pencil. I'm going to write that down. I need to get it on Audible. I actually was thinking this morning, I have like 3 books on Audible that I haven't gotten through, but I'm at least going to put it on my read list and put it on my, honestly, I probably have enough credits. I just need to get through my books. Christopher West. Thank you for bringing that up again. I so appreciate that. Christopher West. Theology of the Bible, or body. I love that. I've been very interested in terms of better understanding the body, just because there's been actually some folks in my family who have really been struggling health-wise. And so I just really want to learn more. Sherry, good morning. Sherry says, you should write books. I have a book coming out, actually. Comic Flick Fusion, I'm so glad to see you. Stephen, good morning. Oh, God bless from Kansas City. I love that. Sammy, we love you. Thank you so much for your comments. And please tell your staff I'm so proud of them. I'm so glad that that you have a good team around you. Adam, good morning. Men and women are from Eden as a woman that might connect more with you. Oh, so that's another book. Thank you. Anyone who has good book recommendations, put them in the chat. I feel like we've got a good group of folks listening who like to learn. Men and women are from Eden. All right. Awesome. Kopi, good morning. Alex, good morning. God's a lie, good morning. Austin. All right, just scrolling down. NRN, good morning. Intruder, good morning. Oh, Daryl, good morning. Just scrolling. Lud, hello. Mojo, good morning. Joseph, Camila, good morning. Joseph. All right, y'all, I actually need to jump off for a meeting. I'm sorry that I don't have longer this morning. I'll be back kind of on our normal routine of 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific. I was going to bed at midnight last night on the West Coast. And so I let myself sleep in this morning after flying in from my funeral, or my uncle's funeral yesterday. So yeah. I'm excited to get back on our normal routine. I will be live again today at 11:30 Pacific. We are actually talking branding and marketing. So if you want to get on for business conversation, come and join us. We'll be on soon. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early.